everyone! So today is finally the day I get to make this video, and since I decided I was going to go to Europe back in January, the beginning of January, I've been anticipating making this video because today is, I'm not sure when this video is going to go up. It's definitely not going closer to this day, but the day I'm recording this, I am 10 days away from when I leave for my trip, and that is mind-blowing. Like, when I say 10 days, like, I knew it was coming up and I'm like, oh yeah, I have like a week and a half left, but like, no, it's 10 days. Like, it's here. I'm already like basically already packed for it because of the situation I'm in, and I'm gonna make this video now. So I'm going to tell you guys how I personally and how it applied to me, how I saved $5,000 for my trip. And it's a 3-week trip. It is me, my boyfriend, and our very good friend, which I know kind of sucks for her, but she's always been like our child. We've all been friends since high school, so we're not like, she never feels like a third wheel, which is why like she is coming along. And yeah, so I'm gonna share with you guys again the 5 things I did to save for my trip personally. So my first thing I had to say is have a daily visual reminder of your goal. Also, excuse the fan, it is summer and it is hot. I know I'm wearing a long sleeve, but it's like sheer and it was for work, so yeah. And what I mean by having a daily reminder of your goal is I printed out like empty jars. I printed 5 pages of these back in January, and I like broke it up into like hundreds, so each jar signified like $1,000. So 5 jars is $5,000. And every time I would put money into that savings account, I would color in a portion of the jar. So as you can see, the first jar is a little messy because the first jar was like my plane ticket, as you can see. As you can see there, and some of them like aren't. I try to keep them the same color, but yeah. So I would just finish filling this out this morning because it was my last like transfer over to my savings account. And so if you want to break it up, I had 7 whole months to save $5,000. So that means every month I had to put $715 about into my savings account. And I'll talk about a little bit more about how I did that. I know it doesn't seem like a lot. Maybe it does seem like a lot to some people, but I don't have like a professional job. It's closer to minimum wage, at least Californian minimum wage, but California's expensive and all of that stuff, so I'll get into that in a little bit. But having a daily visual reminder, so you know like, oh shoot, like I need to fill these out, and like even the filling out process is so like satisfying, just to be like, I'm that much closer to my goal, I have filled the jar that much. And I think 1,000, at least depending on how much you want to save, like having multiple of these instead of one giant one makes you feel like you're actually getting somewhere, and it'll keep you motivated, and it doesn't seem like that goal is far off. That's why I kept it 5 jars, $1,000 each, and filling them out one by one. And I even labeled them on the bottom like jar 1, jar 1, jar 2, or jar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, that is my main thing, because I always like, everyone saw this, everybody knew I had to fill this out, and I knew I had to fill this out, and the only way to fill it out is if you're actually saving. So my biggest, or technically number 2, which is kind of my biggest thing also, is that I am a shopaholic. I'm working on it, and not just a shopaholic, is that I eat out a lot. Like, even if it's by myself, I'll buy some here, like go to McDonald's here, get myself some Panera there, and that adds up, like, and so does shopping. So when I was tempted, I was like, okay, do I want to spend $40 on this dress now, or do I want to save these $40 so I could potentially buy a dress on my trip? Or would I rather put these $40 for a meal in Europe rather than just eating out every day? Like, I still shopped a little and I still ate out, like I didn't completely go cold turkey, but I significantly reduced it, and 2 and 3 kind of go together. My third one is kind of like, I got a better job. So I used to work in retail, and I worked up to management level in retail, but working at a mall, and I'm gonna make a whole like different video on this, like you spend more money like working at a mall because you work at a mall and you're surrounded by temptation. So whether that's like going shopping on your breaks or before and after work, or like you forgot your lunch, so you're gonna go spend like $5 to $10 on lunch at the food court. There's a Starbucks, like I would jump on that as well. So leaving my retail job has also helped me save money. I left for hospitality. It's somewhat of a better pay. So that's all I had to say on that. But it's, I got a better job. And that way I wasn't tempted with shopping and eating out as much. So 2 and 3 kind of play along. 4 kind of relates to that one, and is that I cut out Starbucks. And every time, like, I just cut out Starbucks because, like, technically this whole year I haven't been working retail. Like, I left retail back the beginning of February, and every time I would work, I would at least get like 1 Starbucks. And again, I'm gonna make a whole separate video of this, and the points might repeat itself, but yeah, I just cut out Starbucks. And even like at work, even if like, I could technically stop by a Starbucks if I wanted to, but work has like free like black coffee that you could just prepare yourself. And they even have a coffee shop where like you get half off for being an employee, and I've only ever like used it once, I think. And it's just because, you know, Starbucks is, a lot of the time, like what you order, at least what I order, is full of sugar. And I always used to get like an iced caramel macchiato, extra caramel, and I would get it venti, and that's almost $6, and that adds up like super fast. So I cut out Starbucks, and my bank account is definitely a lot happier like that. So this is just a quick video. And last but not least, for every $10 that you spend, take out 2 and put that in your savings account. Like, that number can vary, but it's also just like, okay, I would budget myself out X amount of money for the month. So say I gave myself $50 a month for entertainment purposes. So that's like going out to the movies or going, well, I don't even know what else, because technically for me it's just going out to the movies, because I also had like a separate food budget. So for every $10 I would take out an extra 2. So I would try to not go as much, and I would try to go to like matinees and stuff like that, so I wouldn't have to have less money. And that was just a little thing that helped me. Like, it's like, ooh, like realistically I would give myself 50, but 20% of that 50 is 10, 2, 4, 6, yeah, it's $10. So I technically only really had 40. So I would try to like spend below 40, so I would still have like more money for myself to spend. But even if I did spend, like more money was going into my savings account than just like the $715. So I feel like I have technically saved more than $5,000, but I haven't been counting, or sometimes I would count those extra dollars that would go into my savings. And even my bank account does that. So for every time like I use my credit card, or not my credit card, sorry, my debit card, depending on the amount of the purchase, it would take out a certain percentage out of my account, out of my checking account, and put that into my savings account. So I just kind of felt that was like double the savings, and like I wasn't even seeing that one. And that's kind of where I got the idea of like my own cash, put that even more into my savings, because my bank already did that on its own. And that's honestly how I was able to do it. I definitely have not shopped as much as I've shopped like in previous years, and I think it all like plays a big role. Like, you don't see it right away, but if you do it like little by little over time, you'll see that. So like, it took me 7 months to do it. I probably could have done it in a shorter amount of time. I just would have more restrictions. But what have I done this year? I've paid off most of my credit cards. I was able to go on a lot of, I went to Coachella, and that wasn't cheap, and I was able to save for this trip, and I actually have money in my account. Like, I'm not worrying, like, I'm not living so much paycheck to paycheck. Like, I kind of am, but that's because my standards have gone up. So like last year, like, whew, like, I remember one time I only had $4 in my bank account, and I still had a couple days from payday, and I didn't want to ask my parents for help because I only had like 3 more days to payday, and I needed gas, and I can only put $3 worth of gas in my car, so that doesn't get you very far, at least here in California, because that would get you like a gallon every 1 hour. Wait, that would give you like more than a gallon in other places, but in California that like barely got you one, if anything. So it was really just to like get home, and I was struggling, and so like having more than $200 in my bank account back then was like I had money. And now it's like, now I have this mentality that it's like, I know it's not a lot compared to other people, but compared to what I have, like I can never have less than 500, and that's just a standard number for me, because like 500 is kind of like what I want to keep in my checking for like spending, and then everything else has to go through to savings and then kind of live off of that. So that's kind of what I'm doing. But it's like, not to say like I have so much money, because I don't. I'm technically still in debt, but not that much in debt, and that's a different video. And the fact that I was able to save, it's just that now that in my world, in my like experience like previous, like I have money now. And it's great. It's a great feeling. It's like I don't have to like worry that I'm not going to have enough to do stuff in my bank account if I need to pay stuff. So yeah, that's kind of like a little jibber jabber of how I saved my $5,000. This is just what I did specifically. It's not like a universal. I mean, of course some of them you can apply to your life. Like, see what can you cut? What can you do to keep yourself motivated? Do you have 5 like subscription services? Can you narrow it down to 1 or 2? Check your bank account. Like, go back for the last 3 months and see where there's like unnecessary spending, or like where you're like, oh, did I really need to do that? Because cutting out food in Starbucks and shopping have been the biggest like contributors, besides getting a better paying job. And that's all I have to say. And like having your daily goal and reminder, and let other people know what your daily goal and reminder is, your motivation for however long it's going to take you to save whatever you want to save, whatever it's for like a car. I don't know about a house, because a house is a little different. I mean, you would need a lot of pages, a lot of jars, I think, depending on where you're trying to live, for motivation. But if that's what motivates you, or if it's not like physically doing stuff, maybe it's like, oh, for every like X amount of dollars, I might treat myself to a Starbucks because I was able to do that, but don't like have a Starbucks like 2 to 3 times a week. I would even say like have it every other week. Don't even have it once a week. See if you can make your own coffee and see how much money you can save that way. But that's all I have for now. I hope this helped you in any way possible. I just wanted to share what I did, what helped me, coming from a shopaholic that does not have a career yet but is working on it. And got a better job though. But yeah, if you have any tips of your own, leave them down below, because now that I know I can save, like I think this trip is gonna like start making me want to travel more, and that I know that if I was able to save $5,000, I'm gonna want to keep saving for bigger things. So yeah, leave more tips if you have them down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.